Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we are back on the Drone Age dev server and it's time to have a look at the SMS Elbing. The reason why I want to look at this is because it's kind of the first of its type. You know, it is a light cruiser, which we've seen many times before. It is in the German tech tree, which we've seen many times before. But this is actually a First World War cruiser, something that is not as apparent when it comes to War Thunder. This thing actually fought in the Battle of Jutland, funnily enough, and it's a rank 3 battle rating 4.7. It's very similar to a lot of other First World War machines where it doesn't really focus on AA because, well, there wasn't a lot of planes around at the time, and it's very much more of a main armament kind of deal. And it has an incredibly interesting look to it, looking at its general stuff. It kind of reminded me when back in the day the Tribal class destroyers got passed to the developers. Now you may be thinking, wait, well, we have the Tribal classes in the game, the Second World War ones, and yeah, they are in the game. But the other thing is there was actually other Tribal class destroyers which also exist. These were around like 1900, and these were kind of new age destroyers which were very different compared to the different destroyers from the kind of Victorian era. They were one of the modernizations of that. And the Elbing kind of just reminds me of that general design and its general outlook. You can see here in the center of it, it's mainly made out of huge engines and transmissions, smoke funnels as well, meaning that it's going to be a huge target in the center to be able to take out its mobility. Which it has a decent amount of. You know, the engines aren't huge, but it is able to go 50 kilometers an hour. It has 442 crew, 5,000 ton displacement, and also a decent amount of armor on the vehicle as well for 4.7. The place where it gets let down is its actual armament itself. It has 8 150mm guns, 4 which are on either side of the machine, so at most you're probably going to get maybe 5 guns on target at the same time. You're mostly only going to get 4 though, because of how they're set up. And then you have 4 25mm guns as backup, which are these types that you can see here on the deck. So they're not the rapid fire ones, they are the very slow firing ones, 10 rounds per minute, so 6 rounds every minute, which isn't great. And then rounds every 6 seconds, I apologize. So they're not going to be great, and the 150mm remind me of the Japanese ones. So pretty large caliber, but only 7 rounds a minute. So you're going to be sat there for a long time, it's not really, not really doing anything, just kind of reloading these guns. They also have a really slow traverse rate in realistic, you know, only 5 degrees per second, so you're going to be sat there for a long time trying to move them. This thing does have some torpedo tubes. You can see them on the deck here. It has 2 of them, 1 on each side, 500mm G6C torpedoes, which are not great. They're very standard First World War ones, so only 5 kilometers that they can actually move in. They don't go very fast either. These are very much, okay, there's a target very close to me that isn't moving, let's torpedo it. So I think most of the time it's worth probably not taking these ones. So it's not going to be great against smaller ships because it doesn't have a lot of lighter armament. It might be good at pelting cruisers and destroyers, but I think it's not going to really be the top of its class because rapid fire destroyers are very, very meta at these BRs at the moment. It does have some decent armor though. 75mm around the bridge, which is quite nice, and then this 40mm setup which defends its ammo racks and also its engine rooms from overall firepower. So if you are a vehicle which is spamming HE, this thing was going to take quite a lot of hefty time to die. It also has 80mm on the end. This protects the pumps, which is quite nice, and also the ammo elevators for the front guns and maybe the fuel tanks, so there's that going for it as well. These 150s you're super reliant on, and they have access to HE to start with, which will be fine against destroyers. It will do a lot of damage. The 21mm of penetration is not great, but the 1.6 kilo of explosive mass is quite nice. The SAP BC pens 95 with a kilo of explosives in it, and then the APC BC is 990 and it pens 238, 186, 88. So for losing around about what, 60 kilos, or 60 grams of explosive mass, you gain about 120 penetration. which could be really useful. It could be great. It could also not be too good either, because it might overpen and then just go straight through and not do anything to a lot of the vehicles. The primary armament one is going to be a must on this thing, since it really doesn't rotate its guns very well. The 52mm, which of course are the 25s, I don't know why they're classed as the 52s. They have the HE, which pens 4mm, so they're going to be kind of dodgy to use, unfortunately. And then it has all the other standard modifications that you see from these vehicles. In terms of like fire direction or anything like that, it does have the 2 rangefinders, but they are very much First World War rangefinders, so 85% accuracy, which is bad, 24 seconds on the calculation time, and 14 on the update. So you're going to be waiting a long time for this to actually get guns on target. And it's just, it really is odd that this machine has been picked. It's so different compared to a lot of the stuff that we've seen. Usually when it comes to these types of machines, what you end up seeing is, you know, they have a ton of armor, or they have a ton of really good guns, or they have stuff which is much more usable than this thing. This really is a First World War cruiser, and I'm wondering if what we're going to see going forward is we're going to see more of these machines in the game, which we might do actually, because they're kind of similar to stuff such as the Japanese cruisers, but the Japanese cruisers have not been very good in the game, and they can be kind of annoying to use. So if they decide to add those in, then, you know, I don't think a lot of people are going to enjoy playing them, if I'm honest with you. The explosive mass and the overpressure idea from the 150s is going to be very important, since the reload is a little bit slow. But you can see you can hit the turrets with the HE and it'll take them out. If you're accurate with the AP, you'll be able to hit the ammo racks and annihilate them, which will be quite nice. And one thing I suppose that is pretty cool about the vehicle is it gets access to the new visualization stuff that all of the ships get. You can see there with the explosionary hits, it's actually pretty nice. But the actual just weight of amount of damage you can put out in this thing is very poor. Like, it's going to take a long time to finish off targets and take them out and kind of end them, because of the way that the guns are situated. And while this is going on, there's going to be meta machines which are throwing a ton of rounds at you over and over and over again, which are going to annihilate you. The fact is, this will be heavily survivable, but not really have anything else, and usually you want something else to be able to be useful on that front. Just to give you a fact, this AI is actually running into me because my secondary guns have not dealt with it, which is incredibly surprising. That's never happened before when it comes to this area. So kind of showing you the general issues of the secondary armament on this machine. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if this is a sign to come, or if this is just kind of a one-off machine which is being added to the German tech tree. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Nicholas Richardson, Elove Goat, Pyman675, Winter Scientist, Merciless Reaper, Jerry Prevolt, Megadino King, Orange Tail, Teddy, John Ryman, Universe, Ambrosius McClellan, Daniel Stanton, Moxie, B. Young, Uncle Bean, Sem Arslan, Derek R., Bareen, Lafouche, and Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.